are steadily moving higher to avoid increasing temperatures. Worldwide, the natural environment which supports such life is being steadily eroded. It's a shame that we do not perceive the real nature of the life forms which we inadvertently destroy. The plant kingdom is also worth a reappraisal. The entire web of life, ourselves included, depends upon a fundamental example of natural intelligence embodied by our botanical friends here, namely photosynthesis, the process through which sunlight is converted into metabolic energy. All plant species perform this feat regardless of what morphological form they take. Photosynthesis represents the tree of life's primary technology, a technology learned through evolution. As natural technologies go, photosynthesis is highly advanced. It is hard to get your head around what a photon of light actually is, let alone imagine how to capture one and borrow its energy. Yet plants do just this by making use of chlorophyll and an array of advanced nanotechnological machinery. Leaves are the structures which carry out photosynthesis. They are nature's solar panels, ensuring that the biosphere remains plugged in. Apart from performing photosynthesis, leaves can also serve as protection. The Venus flytrap has gone further and has evolved leaves which can capture and eat insects, a notion that was originally rejected by 19th century botanists as being far too outrageous to be true. Other plants, like the pitcher plant, have evolved jug-shaped leaves which fill with water and which can drown any insects gullible enough to venture inside. Like the Venus flytrap, the plant eventually consumes its insectile prey. It is somewhat odd, then, that we will not generally perceive a leaf as embodying intelligent design, whereas we clearly perceive intelligent design in a piece of litter. The young Charles Darwin had keen eyes. To view life and its evolution as a naturally intelligent process does not require us to abandon Darwin's great vision. With our growing knowledge of DNA and genetics, Darwin's work continues to be vindicated. However, how we interpret evolution is another matter. The chief virtue of psilocybin is that it reveals the intelligence and creativity at the heart of the evolutionary process which Darwin glimpsed. These days, no reasonable person can dismiss evolution out of hand. Take a close look at the flipper on this seal. There are finger bones underneath. This seal's ancestors were creatures of the land. Gradually, over millions of years, its genes have been shaped by natural selection so as to express a body more adapted to life in the ocean. At this point in time, the seal is a land mammal wearing its own tailor-made wetsuit. The same evolutionary transformation, but in reverse, can be seen in this snail. Snails are mollusks, and most mollusks live in the ocean, which is why we find shells on the beach. For whatever reason, the ancestral lineage of this snail left the ocean and became adapted to life on land. Like the seal, its genes and its biological form reveal its evolutionary history. Go back far enough in time and our own ancestors were likely to have been amphibians of some kind, maybe like this salamander. Amphibians go through one stage of their lives with gills. The human fetus also passes through a gilled stage during its development. This clearly demonstrates our own evolutionary history. Our closest living relatives are other primates who share much of our own DNA. Human DNA codes for a bigger brain than other primates. The problem is, we have now elevated our big brains above all else. We think we are smarter than nature. Design, purpose and creativity are capabilities ascribed only to ourselves. And yet seals, snails, salamanders, monkeys and any other creature you care to mention are, biologically speaking, impressively designed. Thus, we must admit that design, purpose and creative engineering are all properties of evolution, a process which preceded our own ability to design and to create.
Given that evolution builds up complex and eminently sensible biological structures, demonstrates that evolution is essentially a learning process and not dumb and mindless as science teaches us. Through evolution, nature authors intelligent solutions to the problems of living. Instead of books, the intelligent solutions are transcribed in DNA, and since DNA is mutable, improvements and re-editing can always be achieved. DNA that is senseless is terminated, whereas DNA which makes more sense is favoured or selected. If organisms and their environment are considered as a totality or continuum, then nature is clearly a wonderful system of self-organising intelligence. It's also worth bearing in mind, of course, that the original formation of DNA and its progressive evolution are written into the very laws of nature. The universe is quite literally a life support system, even a consciousness supporting system. These are facts with many profound implications. We are so in love with our own intelligence that we confer prestigious awards upon those who discover the intelligence within nature. James Watson and Francis Crick, for example, are revered to this day for their discovery of the exquisite double helix structure of DNA. Nature, on the other hand, received no accolade whatsoever, despite teaching Watson and Crick all that they knew. In a similar way, we are more likely to be impressed by shiny biotechnological machines that can chop and change DNA than we are with the biotechnological properties of DNA itself. And so, as ever, natural intelligence remains unsung. Most of my psilocybin journeys have been out in the wilds of the Lake District in Snowdonia, where the mushroom tends to grow during the autumn. Locating and consuming them always feels like an involvement in some kind of subtle organic alchemy. Psilocybin is recognized by the human cortex and integrated into its neuronal architecture. The result is a kind of retuning, after which information broadcast from some otherwise occluded source becomes suddenly very much accessible. Nature then becomes like a wise teacher, and it was this intimate bonding with nature and the overwhelming impression that nature is more alive, more precious and more mysterious than we think that inspired this film. And although the mushroom is certainly not for everyone, the deep ecological awareness which it can convey is for everyone. It is the message which counts. In my opinion then, to really get a sense of natural intelligence, to really feel it, requires that we find the time to take leave of the city and visit those pristine areas of wilderness which still remain on this turbulent planet. For it is only by immersing yourself in nature that you can really begin to sense its true value. And so I will leave you with a walk on the wild side here in the UK. It's time we all rediscovered our roots.